Afternoon, peeps. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, and subscribe. All right, let's jump straight in and see what there is to talk about today. Let's start with this one. Chris Eubank Jr. As of right now, I don't believe Liam Smith is the better man. Look, he's got to have this attitude, this mentality in the lead up to the fight, but ultimately, he's wrong. Liam Smith beat him last time. Liam Smith's a better boxer. He's more proven. He's been in the bigger fights. Yes, he might have lost those against Munguia and Canelo, but he's a former world champion. But look, if you're Chris, this is what you've got to think. Like, one thing I will respect Chris is that he has this kind of elite mindset. It doesn't seem as though the defeats affected him. Like, sometimes a defeat like that, especially to someone with the ego that Chris has, you feel like it might just dent them a little bit. Not dented him one bit, as it. Still very confident. I saw the gloves are off. Still very, very positive in his mindset, and that's what you got to have. That's the kind of belief you've got to have going into this fight. But look, Liam Smith is just a better boxer. Just a better boxer. I mean, some people might give Chris the athlete tick. I think I've done that, but then someone said, Addy, 1 second. Athlete isn't just about your physical appearance. Let's not forget, Liam Smith, after fights on Saturday, plays football on a Sunday. That's an athlete, and they're right. I'm looking forward to this one. I will say this, though. A lot of people that I've spoken to, considering that Chris got knocked out or stopped in their first fight, a lot of people give Chris a good chance going into this one. Obviously, there's still that elbow gate discussion. Was it an elbow? Wasn't it? Was it the elbow that caused all the damage? So I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to the card as well. Some interesting fights in there. I mentioned this before, like Dave Allen, Fraser Clark's intriguing. When it was first announced, I was like, what? But now all of a sudden, I'm thinking, could be fun. Could be fun, that fight. So look, looking forward to it. We might do a live watch along. I've got the equipment here. Just have to move a few things around, juggle a few things, but I'll let you guys know in a couple of days whether or not we do a live watch along. We can do it. So we'll see how that one plays out. Terence Crawford open to fighting Jermell Charlo at 168 if he beats Canelo. Terence Crawford is just going to wait and see how this all plays out. September 30th at Charlo versus Canelo, and he's going to want to fight the winner, right? He could fight the loser. I mean, if it's Jermell, he could fight the loser, but that loses a bit of its kind of magic dust, doesn't it? But look, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Terence Crawford versus Canelo in the last few days. Canelo, I saw, did an interview the other day saying, look, if it makes sense, we can do it. Not in those words, I'm just paraphrasing, but he kind of was like open to it. And Crawford's been open to the idea of jumping up 21 pounds to fight Canelo. I think he kind of first spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, and now it seems to be gathering momentum. So much so that, look, if Canelo were to win and Crawford were to jump up, that's easily the biggest fight in boxing. Like, easily. It's just, it can do incredible numbers. And it's not one that I've ever thought about. Like, I thought about Spence, if he won, him going up and fighting Canelo, because everyone talks about Spence being the bigger of the two, him and Crawford. And I thought maybe Spence will go up and Canelo will come down and they'll do it at 164-pound catch weight. I never thought about Crawford because I've just always assumed Crawford was too small for Canelo. Again, we're talking about a 21-pound jump here. Bear in mind, Canelo's competed at 175. Canelo's a lot bigger. Yes, not a lot taller, but a lot thicker. And he's now obviously a fully fledged super middleweight. So it's a big, big jump. And as good as Crawford is, you're talking about adding another 21 pounds of muscle to that frame. How elusive is he going to be? Crawford's such a good back foot fighter, but you add that kind of weight to the body, you will slow down. If I'm Crawford, I mean, look, skills pay the bills. I don't know what you have to weigh. I've always wanted to know this, what you have to weigh to fight at 168. I mean, is it 161? Can he come in the ring at 154? And the reason I say this is if I'm Crawford, I don't put on that much weight. I don't put on that much weight at all. I rely on my skills to get the job done. But I'd love to see it happen, but it just seems unrealistic at the moment. Crawford fighting at 154, yes. Crawford maybe even fighting at 160, okay. Crawford going to 168 to take on, if Canelo gets past Jermell, the undisputed super middleweight champion. It's a big ask. And people might laugh at this statement. I mean, this is all Crawford. Like, Crawford gets everything from this. Like, for Crawford, it's It's risky, obviously, fighting Canelo, but the reward is so big because it's Canelo. I do wonder what Canelo gets from it. And some might say money. You're right, of course he gets money, but he's not short of money, is he? How much plaudits does he get from it? How much plaudits does he get from taking on a guy that's a 147 fighter? I don't know, man. Some people will say, look, he's taking on Jermell as a 154 fighter. You are correct. But look, it's a big ask. It's a big ask. I mean, think about this. There's people, and I know there's a size difference here with the example I'm going to have, but how much plaudits would Crawford get for beating Tank? Do you know what I mean? And that's only 12 pounds, 135, 147. Not much, right? If Crawford were to beat Tank, I mean, ain't going to get much plaudits, is he? Because you're beating up on a smaller man. I don't know how much plaudits Canelo would get for beating Crawford. I think he'd get a lot because you're beating up on the pound for pound number one, but I don't know. It's we've seen jumps before, but that's a big one. We've seen them. Roy Jones going to heavyweight. We've seen big jumps, but that's a big jump. But if you're Crawford, the only real good options for you, because there isn't a super fight at 154. There isn't a super fight at 154. Unfortunately, 160 division is dead. He's not going to fight and get any plaudits for fighting Adames or Alam Kanali, is he? So 168 really is the only option. That's the only super fight, unless, and this is still the fight I think is going to happen, unless he fights Errol Spence again. He's almost being forced to fight Errol Spence again. Obviously because Errol has asked for the rematch, but he's only been forced to fight Errol again because all the other options are just not that great. They're not that great. Don't say Jaron Ennis, don't say Virgil Ortiz, because they're not big fights. At this stage of Crawford's career, you're talking about being in super fights. And I mean super fights. They're not super fights. Errol rematch at 154 could be classed as a super fight because you can use the excuse Errol's weight drain, blah, blah, blah. And the other options, unfortunately, are at 168 right now. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, now that Canelo started to mention it and Crawford is mentioning it, it could happen, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be Errol Spence at 154. Danny Jacobs calls for clash against Jermell Charlo. I'm ready for that fight. I am not ready for that fight. I do not want to see that fight. I wanted to see that fight years ago. Remember when they had that, I was going to say altercation, but it seemed to be Danny putting it on Jermell. Remember that? The corridors of MSG. I don't know who was fighting that night. Then, yes. Now, no. Jermell's not fought for, coming up 3 years, I think it is. Danny Jacobs is no longer that guy either. So I have little to no interest in that fight whatsoever. And the kind of money both are going to want for that fight, if you're a broadcaster or promoter, know that you're making a loss, a severely big loss on that fight. Francis Ngannou, everybody is beatable. I think I can take Tyson Fury down. Again, that's the attitude you've got to have. You've got to go into it with that kind of mentality. Yes, Ngannou's going to be getting paid, but Ngannou wants to win. He wants to win. Unfortunately, he's taken on a very, very, very elite heavyweight in Tyson Fury. One thing Ngannou's always had as well, an advantage that Ngannou's had in the UFC at least, is that he's just been so much bigger than everyone. So much bigger. Don't get me wrong, he's fought some big guys, but he's just so much bigger. He's not so much bigger than Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is going to outweigh him. Tyson Fury is going to be taller. Tyson Fury's reach is longer. And Tyson Fury ultimately, and this is the biggest thing, is just a much better boxer. So, yeah, we'll see. Frank Warren says he would have liked to see Daniel Dubois get up from the second knockdown to Usyk. Yeah, I'm very shocked he didn't get up. But I mean, look, I've not been punched in the face by a ramrod jab, so I don't know. But yeah, there's obviously, and I'm happy this is now starting to come out, because I do think there needs to be more of this discussion than the low blow discussion now, especially with Daniel Dubois moving forward. Okay, look, I get it. There's so many questions around that low blow, but what can you do? What can you do? You can't fix it. He can fix that, I think. And I do think that is lacking something. Look, my respect for boxers is through the roof. Always has been, always will be. And that's why I never jumped on Daniel Dubois when it came to the Joe Joyce thing and quitting, because I was like, dude, he's fucking nearly had a detached retina. But this one, I don't know, this one just doesn't sit well with me. I was like, what? He's going to get up surely. And then when he didn't, you know what it is with fights like that? You know, when the ref counts you out, yeah, like the ref was counting them out, when you pop up on 10, I'm like, oh, so you could have got up then. I know that's, look, again, I'm not a fighter, probably wrong to even say that, but when you pop up on 10, I'm like, oh, you could have got up. When you're down and you know, the ref could count for a minute and you can't get up, fair dues, you're fucked, you can't get up. But when the referee's on 9 and then you decide to pop up, I'm like, so you could have got up. And that's what I think he might need to change. I don't know how you change that. I don't know if Don Charles is the person to change it. Don Charles is almost like a father figure to him, so hopefully he is and can sort of really kind of get into that, because I think there's a good fighter there. I really do. I really, really do. I'm going to do a video tomorrow actually talking about what next for Daniel Dubois, because there's a couple of routes they can go. They can go the old veteran route, right? You can fight all these old veterans, 35 and over, and see if you can get some wins. Or you can start mixing it up with guys in and around your age that are hungry killers, and let's see where you are. We'll do a video on that. Anything else? Yordenis Ugas, Mario Barrios face-to-face in LA. I don't mind that fight. And some people have kicked it. I don't mind it. Good little undercard fight. This was interesting. I saw the Instagram live, I think it was, Andrew Ruiz on Deontay Wilder. They're trying to pay me what I got for my last fight. It doesn't make sense. Well, it kind of does, because your last fight flopped. It isn't easy as, like, Andrew Ruiz tried to explain it. Like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Don't know why I did an American accent. But he was like, you know, if you fight someone and you beat them and the next person you fight's better, you should get paid more. No. If you fight someone, it's a numbers game with boxing, unfortunately. It doesn't work like that. Like, the better the opponent, the more money you get. Unfortunately, boxing ain't like that. Boxing has always been, especially at the elite level, a bums on seats pay-per-view thing. And pay-per-view wise, I think his fight was against Luis Ortiz. Didn't do well. Let me see if I can find Andrew Ruiz, Luis Ortiz pay-per-view buys. I remember reading it was really poor. Andrew Ruiz, Luis Ortiz generated approximately 65,000 pay-per-view buys. I mean, we would, and I don't know if that's legit, but that's what it says there. What are you supposed to do with that? What are you supposed to do? How can you say, and then by the way, Deontay Wilder against Helenius didn't do great either. So these two, I remember Deontay Wilder, Helenius was really bad as well. So these two are talking crazy numbers. And look, against each other, they might be able to generate more because it's a good fight. Deontay Wilder, Helenius pulled in 75,000 pay-per-view buys. So Andrew Ruiz is talking about $10 million. I think Deontay Wilder wants something similar. You don't generate that kind of money. Maybe against each other, again, maybe you can get a bit more. Maybe you can stretch it a little bit. But against each other, you ain't generating that. Against other fighters, you ain't generating that. Andrew Ruiz, Luis Ortiz does 65,000 pay-per-view buys. Deontay Wilder, Helenius, 75,000. And Andrew Ruiz is saying, yeah, I'll take 10 million. Dude, jeez, man. The best and worst thing that could have happened to Andrew Ruiz was that AJ fight. The AJ money. I think, honestly, because I think he's such a talented fighter, but I almost feel like he's pricing himself out of things. There was a lot of talk, and I don't know if I believed it at the time, but who knows, when I think there was talking about he priced himself out of the Fury fight or something. I think I heard about that. And now this Wilder fight. So the big fights that would propel you to where I think he should be, which is, look, there's an argument to say Andrew Ruiz is the top 5 heavyweight. There's an argument. I don't know if it's true, but you got the big 4, and then Joyce, Zhang, Ruiz potentially, right? And he's just not in fights. He's not fighting, and he's coming on IG saying, yeah, it's about, like the next fight up should be more money. Dude, I don't know. A bit here on Canelo and fighting Crawford. Why not? It's possible. If it makes sense, I'm down to do it. Jesus Christ. Charles Martin, I would like to fight Wilder, Ruiz, Parker. Heavyweights today are bitches. Is he talking about himself as well? Is he putting in like all the heavyweights? I don't mind Charles Martin. I like Charles Martin a lot. I think he's grown on me. I thought he'd done really well in that Jared Anderson fight. Bear in mind, he took that fight on, was it a couple of weeks notice, 10 days notice? I don't mind him. And I said in the lead up to that fight that Charles Martin could cause Anderson some problems. I'm not sold on Anderson at all. See, that's another opponent potentially for Daniel Dubois. Potentially. I mean, Charles Martin's I think a solid heavyweight gatekeeper. Conor Ben, I can't see Eubank getting past Smith. I don't know what's going on with Ben. Looks like he's starting to sort of ramp up the training. He looks like he's losing weight as well, I've noticed. There has been some talk about Blair Cobbs over here. I don't know if that's going to happen. I thought I read something about potentially on the Sandy Ryan, Jessica McCaskill card, which is, what's that? a month away, less than a month away. I doubt it. I doubt it. Anything else? Charlo believes a win over Canelo will lead to fights with Benavidez, Plant. Even a loss against Canelo will lead to those fights. If Charlo wants to stay in and around this weight class, he'll get those fights. Charlo's a big name, and his name will be even bigger if he can put on a good performance against Canelo. I think I said in the video the other day, didn't I, that I think if Charlo were to beat Canelo and be double undisputed, although I know the WBO stripped him of one of the belts, he's pound for pound number one. I think a lot of people are like, no. Dude, he's jumping up 2 weight classes to take on a guy that is no worse than number 5 pound for pound and is unbeaten in the 168 division. There's a serious argument to say he's pound for pound number one, a serious argument. Jermell Charlo is jumping up to fight Canelo. And not only that, but if you beat Canelo, you've had to have beaten Canelo. Like, you guys know about Canelo and scorecards. If you beat him, that means you've dominated him. Like, no one's getting a razor-thin decision over Canelo. So if he were to beat Canelo, that means he's beaten Canelo. There's an argument. I can make an argument for it. Anything else before we wrap? Let's have a quick look. Michaela Meyer talking about Natasha Jonas is the most realistic immediate fight for her. I think that kind of a bit here. John Ryder wants Golovkin. I don't mind going to Kazakhstan for the fight. No, it's done. I love Golovkin. It's done. I mean, Golovkin's been vacating his belts left, right, and center. I actually think he's kind of retired. He hasn't announced it, and I hope he does announce it so he can get his flowers, because I think he was a tremendous talent. But I mean, look, if you're John Ryder, I get it, because it's a nice little payday, but it's not there. It's just not there for Golovkin. If I'm John Ryder, I maybe I don't know if John Ryder can get down to 160 again, but I maybe look at the Eubank Smith winner. I think that's more realistic, and that's potentially a big fight. Golovkin will be a big fight in name only, like it's GGG, but it's not GGG. Do you know what I mean? It's not, is it? It's not. Seeing GGG against Canelo was just, it's not. He's just not that guy. So if I'm John, I maybe look elsewhere, and maybe somehow get in the mix. I mean, it was a good performance against Canelo. Maybe get in the mix if he wants a world title fight. But I think at this stage of John's career, it's all about money as well. And I don't know how it would work with the zone and boxer, but I feel that there's something can be done there for him to fight the winner of Eubank Smith. Or look, there's been talk about a Billy Joe Saunders comeback, and Billy Joe beat him back in the day for the British title, I believe. All right, guys, girls, we are done. Again, I'll let you guys know in the community tab if we are going to do a live watch along. I hope we do, because I do want to keep doing those things. But regardless, if we don't do a live watch along, what we might do this week is a couple of lives anyway. I'm in New York. The time difference is a bit crazy. For example, it is 11:53 right now. I don't know what time it is in London, 5 o'clock. So we'll work something out anyway. Peace and love.